we've got some wonderful guests here to talk. My name's Erin Rice, and I'm the Director of Operations at Crew. I've got my amazing co-founder and executive director here, Talise. Want to say hi, Talise? Yeah. You're welcome. The Crew platform, for anyone who is not already a Crew member, it's a fully customizable platform, online platform built to equip, train, and connect communities. So we have accelerators, we have education programs, social movements, volunteer organizations, all kinds of different organizations on the platform. And it's basically built and fully customizable for any organization that has a curriculum or a training program and needs to train their members online. Today we've got Marcela, Yuki, and Melissa here, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Let's see. How do we want to start? At the end, so Marcela and Melissa and Yuki will go ahead and present. They're from VIA, which is for Volunteers in Asia, and Yunus and Youth. So they're both going to present, and then at the end we'll have time for question and answer. If you have any questions while they're talking, go ahead and just pop them up in the chat. If you just popped in, we will be recording. So if you want to turn off your screen or anything like that, just wanted to let you know. And we'll go ahead and start with Marcela.
Hi, thank you, Erin. I'm going to share my screen. I hope you can see it and hear me as well. Great. Well, I'm Marcela Lessa. I'm the program director at Yunus and Youth. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. I'm going to talk a little bit about our global fellowship program. And you can ask any questions that you like in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer. I'm bringing here some new information that nobody has seen yet. So this is an exclusive for Crew. So, well, talking a little bit about Yunus and Youth, we were founded with the support of Nobel Peace Prize Professor Mohamed Yunus. We are an organization that works empowering youth that lead social businesses. So we work across the world. We have already trained over 4,500 young entrepreneurs in 65 countries and have impacted 25 million people. Our learning methodology is based on 4 pillars. So one is the social business expertise that we bring to the table in supporting the young people that we work with. And then we also talk about sustainability and scaling strategy. For us, it's very important that the organizations go beyond just an idea and actually start creating impact in the world. And then we need to measure this impact that they create with specific key indicators. And this is another pillar that's very important to us. And then we have the global community, because we truly believe in the power of networking and in doing things together. So we get together with other institutions, the private sector, to support these young people that want to create sustainable social businesses. And one of our main programs is the Yunus and Youth Global Fellowship Program. We run this in English, and as of last year, we started running in Spanish as well for Spanish speakers. And this is a highly customized program that we have. It's six months long. It's completely free for the entrepreneurs. And then we call them fellows when they become entrepreneurs. And this is the program that we have on the Crew platform, right? And every aspect of this program was thought to help these young entrepreneurs reach their full potential, strengthen their business models, build strategies for their social ventures, and expand their professional networks. So there are 6 main components to this program. We have the program kickoff and matching, where we onboard all the entrepreneurs that are going to work with us. These entrepreneurs are matched with corporate mentors who support them throughout 6 months. They work on building their mentoring relationship. At the same time, they work on developing their business plan. In the middle of the program, if they still have questions that their mentors couldn't help them with, we connect them with experts in their area or experts in a subject in a specific subject that they need help with. And the program ends with a final pitch competition in front of a panel of impact investors. And that's just a huge learning opportunity for them because they are early stage entrepreneurs and many of them have never had the chance to present their organizations in front of any specialists. After this, people finish the program, they join our global alumni community that has over 200 people working in social businesses around the world, as I was mentioning. And here's the exclusive information I was mentioning. I bring to you a little bit about the profile of the applicants we had for this year's program. I know that many of you are curious to understand, so who are these early stage young entrepreneurs that Yunus and Youth works with? And here's a little bit about their profiles. This year, we broke every record in the history of Yunus and Youth. We had almost 2,700 applicants from 130 countries. We have been going insane reading all the applications. We are right now getting ready for the next cohort of the fellowship program, which will be our 7th cohort. These applications came, well, 93% from the Global South. And what I think it's interesting to see is that 50% come from Africa, and most of these applications from Africa come from Nigeria. We also have 30%, 32% coming from Asia Pacific, more specifically from Southeast Asia. So you can see that we receive applications from everywhere. And when we get to the final cohort of selected entrepreneurs, our goal is to have people from all the places, all the different places, so we'll have a more balanced distribution. Talking a little bit about their businesses profiles, I think it's interesting to see that although we have here 57% identify as male, 38% identify as female, but when we get to the final cohort, we make sure that we have equal parts women and men. We can also see the ages here that I think are interesting. We have 68% from 18 to 29 years old, and this is our focus age group that we target. Of course, people that are younger or older are still considered in the selection process, but our focus is on this younger population. Half of them have bachelor's degrees, and we have 18% that have a master's degree, which I think it's interesting. Yunus and Youth also focus a lot on bringing diversity and opening the space for every people with all the different backgrounds. So we want to make sure that we welcome everyone and then we make space for everyone. So we do consider the diversity when selecting the final cohort. We had a 5% of applicants that are people with disability or an exceptionality or neurodiversity. We have 3% of applicants who are currently a refugee. Almost 60% of our applicants identify as low-income people based in their region's composition. And then we have 30% who identify as an ethnic or racial minority based on their region's composition. And then 21% who identify as a religious minority. And what I think is interesting is that 37% live in a rural area. And this for us is a great achievement because one of our main goals when launching an online program that is completely free was getting to the people that wouldn't have access to an educational program like this any other way. So people who live in cities that are not the capitals, that are not the main cities where you already have a lot of in-person trainings and a lot of in-person accelerators. We really want to take this knowledge and make it democratize the access to this kind of knowledge, to entrepreneurial learning, and take it to the outer skirts of the world. And then here I also bring you a little bit about their business's profile. So from all of those solutions that were presented, we have 400 that are tech solutions. So they are tech-based solutions. Most of these organizations have been working for less than 3 years. They have been working on the 17 SDGs, but they focus mainly on no poverty, good health and well-being, quality education, and then decent work and economic growth. We see a very throughout the years. These are the main SDGs as well that our fellows have been working on. And when you look at the main challenges, we brought here this word cloud, but I think the ones that really stand out are funding, right? So these organizations are really looking for support in becoming financially sustainable. So we see finance, financial, funding, all of those words related to capital, they are really big, because this is one of the main difficulties of young entrepreneurs. So from what we see, the population that gets in touch with us, they are young people who have a lot of passion, who have a lot of purpose. They know exactly what social impact they want to create in the world, how they want the world to be a better place, but they don't have the business background to make a business work. So this is where we come in, and this is where we help them. Because we have such a, we were already expecting to have a big applicant pool this year. Last year was already a record for us, and we had like 1,000 something. This year we more than doubled our last record. And in the end, we only onboard around 20 to 30 entrepreneurs in our program, because this is highly customized. We get to know each of the entrepreneurs, we work with them closely. So we decided to create a capacity building selection process. So this means that the learning with Yunus and Youth starts before the program actually starts. And we did this because we want, honestly, we want to democratize access to information and to knowledge, and to help everyone that we can. And this is why we created this series of 5 webinars that are completely optional. The youth can join these webinars if they want. And this is supposed to help them through the application process, and also to bring more context into what we do as an organization. So we discussed during these webinars, of course, the concept of social business, which is not clear for many people. We also discussed the social business model canvas. We gave them lots of insights on how to take your idea and turn into a prototype, do your first MVP, and start really putting ideas into action. We also talked about the Ikigai philosophy, that is a Japanese philosophy related to your purpose. And we wanted to motivate them and inspire them to reflect on how their personal lives connect to the businesses they created. We also talked a lot about self-knowledge, and this was all during the selection process. So after they complete the application form that I mentioned to you, that we got over 2,700 applications, they are invited to send us a video telling us about their motivation, so we can get to know them a little bit better. After that, we'll have interviews, and then we finally announce the fellows, right? So from these 2,700 people, only around 30 will get accepted. And what happens to the other 2,670, right? So we don't want to leave them empty-handed, and that's why we decided to create kind of an opportunities fair that will take place on August 10th. We're going to invite many partner organizations that also work with young social entrepreneurs to come in. Of course, if any of you that are here today do run an opportunity, a program for these young people who are running social businesses, please get in touch with me so we can invite you to also be on this fair. And the idea is that these young people will get access to all the many amazing opportunities that are out there, and they will also get a chance to get some help into developing their business. And ideally, the program will start in September. And here I brought to you more details about how the program works. And basically, we have all of this curriculum in the Crew platform. I didn't bring the screenshots here, but I brought to you the content. So basically, as I was mentioning, we have this capacity building program that is the start. We talked about all these different subjects using videos. And then when the program starts, our fellows go into the platform and they start working on their mentoring agreement, which is a series of activities that are inside the platform for them to complete, and basically get to know their mentors and agree with them what are the key objectives that they have during the program. Then these mentors and fellows start working together and building their relationship. And at the same time, as they continue building their relationship, we start working on their business plan development. And then the fellows go into the platform once again, and they have deliverables for every month, where they'll be sharing with us many interactive activities that we propose that they read the activities on the platform, but then go into the field with their teams to practice the exercises. So they work on their social business, they learn more about Professor Yunus' story, they work on their value proposition, on the solution, revenue model, marketing strategy. Then we go into impact measurement. For this, we have a special partnership with Ingo Michel Felder, a postdoc fellow from Social Innovation and Change Initiative at the Harvard Kennedy School. We do a month of a special program with him to learn more about how to measure impact when you have an early stage business. After the short course with Ingo, we talk to them about partnerships, funding, and grants. And then the final month is dedicated to pitch and storytelling, and they get to prepare their pitch decks and really train their presentations for the final demo day. That is how we end our program. I think I'm talking too much. I think I only have 2 more slides, I think.
You're all
So
good, Marcela.
I'm just closing. So a little bit about the key expected outcomes. So we have these 3 main wishes when the fellows leave our program is that first, they are better leaders themselves. So they increase their hard skills, their knowledge about leading a social business, but they also increase their soft skills. So their entrepreneurial skills and these more emotional capacities. The second goal that we have is that the social businesses that they lead show reduced failing rates. So they have better businesses, stronger businesses that create more jobs and impact more people. And then the third expected outcome that we have is that the mentors have a good time. The mentors also increase their soft skills. They feel a better sense of purpose with their companies they work at, with their careers. And they also feel that they are helping change the world. And so far, we've had great results. So 97% of the YY fellows who joined one of our programs have reported increased number of paid employees, number of paying clients, or increasing revenue. 100% of them say they have developed soft skills, and then they highlight holistic thinking, self-confidence, problem solving, critical thinking, and leadership development. And as for the mentors, they also 100% say they have developed soft skills such as leadership, communication, teamwork, problem solving, and holistic thinking. And 95% of the mentors who join our program say that the experience was extremely relevant to their professional development. So that was a super quick overview on the Yunus and Youth Fellowship Program, a little bit more about our organization. If you want to continue in touch with us and learn more about our new programs and what else can we do in partnership, please keep in touch. Here's our social media, our email account. And I mention again, you're all welcome to join us on August 10th for an opportunities fair where we'll be presenting many opportunities from partner organizations that also work with social entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marcela. If anybody wants to reach out about that fair, should they just get in touch with you on LinkedIn or?
I'm going to put my email here on the chat for you.
Okay, great. All right, wonderful. And I put Yunus and Youth's website address there too, if anybody wants to check it out. Just click there. Yeah, thank you. All right, Yuki and Melissa, do you want to tell us about BIA?
Yeah, thank you so much, Erin. And Marcela, thank you so much. I definitely would love to go to that opportunity fair, so I will be hitting you up. Hi, everybody. My name is Yuki. I'm joined by my colleagues Melissa and Inda today, and I'm really excited to share about our Accelerator program. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can everybody see my screen okay? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
I see it.
Great. So our program is called the Social Impact Leadership Accelerator. We're now in our 3rd cohort. And we also have a partner in Indonesia. They have their own accelerator program that's modeled after ours. So they're in their first cohort as well. So I'll be telling you kind of holistically about all of them. So a little bit about VIA. We're a nonprofit. We were founded in 1963. And our mission is to provide experiential learning opportunities to help participants develop their intercultural competency skills, their leadership skills, and their problem-solving skills. So the goals for presentation, I'm going to blast through it, is to talk about VIA's accelerator program. I want to talk a little bit how Crew has helped us, setting up the platform, and then how the accelerator has adapted over the course of those 3/4 cohorts. So before I dive into the nitty-gritty of the accelerator program, I wanted to talk a little bit about strategic connections within your program portfolio. So if you're like us, you have very limited resources, you're trying to kind of, figure out, okay, what can I do with, the few people that I have on staff? So I wanted to share at VIA, we have 3 different types of programs that kind of intersect with each other. So our Explorer programs, these are really short-term programs, like 5 to 30 days in the US or Asia. And so these are people who, they're trying to figure out, who am I as a person? And, they're kind of dipping their first hesitant toe into study abroad. We also have our accelerator programs. So these are 6-month programs, a little bit longer. And these are people who are, they know that they really want to be social change makers. And so this program is really focused more on project and organizational development. And finally, we have our fellowship program. So this is longer. It's kind of like the Peace Corps in the US. So it's 1 year, maybe 2 or even more years at a post in Asia. And so, our kind of ideal thought is like, okay, what if our participants from our Explore program get really inspired about social issues and they want to recommit to a program and join the accelerator program? They're like, okay, I know I want to make a change in this way. And what if our accelerator participants, their organizations become so stable and so strong that they can become a fellowship post, right? And for a fellowship, these are people who are already making a change. They're helping posts build their capacity and become stronger organizations. So what if these people, simultaneous to their fellowship role, could also serve as accelerator program coordinators? So trying to make use of our resources here. So talking about our accelerator, it's a completely virtual program. It's team-based from the point of application. So when they apply, they have to apply as a team of 3 or more people. And we also have really small cohorts. So, 3 to 5 teams in a single cohort. And we're serving teams in Asia and the US. Talking a little bit about our curriculum, which is up here. This is a really high-level view, and we have more specific learning outcomes listed. But first, we want them to really build an effective team. So we talk about leadership development, kind of theories behind team development. We also want them to define their team mission, vision, and approach. So we ask them to define a problem statement, write up a theory of change. We also want them to critically analyze and apply sustainability frameworks. So we talk about the SDGs, we talk about the people, planet, profit framework, and we also talk about justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And then finally, we want them to design and implement a social impact project. So we ask them to create a program logic model. We ask them to kind of think about how they want to communicate the impact that they're having, that storytelling piece that Marcela was talking about. In terms of the structure of the program, just on here, we have monthly community building through our all cohort calls. So everybody gets together, they give each other feedback, share updates. In between these monthly calls, we also have program coordinators. So they're supporting the teams in between, giving them feedback, connecting them with people in their own networks, things like that. And then we also have these guided learning resources. This is where the Crew platform really comes in handy. So we store all of our kind of activities that we listed up here on the Crew platform. And then we also want the teams to direct their own progression through the program. So they can choose what are some of the activities that they want to do compared to others. Okay, so how has Crew, amazing Crew, helped us? First, I think it's been really helpful to color code the tracks. So every month from the participants' perspective, it's really easy to see, okay, this is our agenda for our all cohort calls. This is their content for the curriculum. Every month we upload new content, so it's really easy to keep track. It's also been really helpful when we share different events and opportunities. So we found that the group function has been really helpful for really kind of complex events like our conference. And then we also have kind of simpler opportunities. So that's been great to share as a track. And then I think this is probably the coolest thing. So I mentioned that we have our partners in Indonesia. They were able to just copy and paste all of our tracks, translate them into Bahasa, and then kind of localize the content for their needs. So that's been really great. Okay, so talking about how we have had to make changes as we progress through the Accelerator program. First, we decided to make some activities priority activities that they have to complete in order to get their certificate of completion. And then some activities be optional activities that just enhance their learning. The biggest reason for this was time management. All of our participants are either working full-time or full-time students. And so they were just like, we can't get it done. So we were just trying to help them prioritize by saying, these are the things that you really need to do in order to get, your project up and running. But from a pedagogical perspective, we also believe that choice encourages investment and ownership over their learning journey. So we were hoping that, having a bit of choice would be good just from a learning perspective. Another early change that we made was to our curriculum sequence. So this is a gross oversimplification, but just to make it easy to understand visually. Kind of in the beginning, we wanted them to really focus on their team, build their group, build their organization, and then start thinking about sustainability, and then start digging into the nitty-gritty of their project. So logically, makes a lot of sense. But we realized that the organizations were all at really different stages. And so some of these teams, they had already been working together for many years. Their organizations were already existing for multiple years. And so they were like, we already have a strong team. And it's not that they can't be stronger, but they really wanted to dive into some of these project development pieces. So we're like, okay, let's kind of build that into the structure. The bigger reason for resequencing the curriculum, though, was this recognizing the importance of iteration. So we didn't want participants to think, okay, just because you have written your mission statement, it's done. You check the box. It's, you don't have to think about it anymore. We wanted them to kind of come back to it in month 2, 3, 4, 5. We also increased the coordinator responsibility. So instead of just me yakking through our all cohort calls, we wanted the coordinators to take a bigger role in kind of facilitating these. So one, it's more engaging, but more importantly, it's really good professional development for our volunteer coordinators. We also had, of course, some sucky external crises. So like all of us, we suffered through COVID. Our program was originally a hybrid program, so we're going to have an in-person conference, in-person workshops, but eventually it went all virtual. And then in February this year, there was also a coup in Myanmar, which affected all of our current participants. So we had to actually pause the program for a month and then extend it ultimately. We also recognized that some of our participants might shift what they were hoping to do with their projects. So, if that happened, how do we kind of adjust, right? And we also had the tech shifts because, our participants were facing internet outages, power outages, even kind of security challenges. So we're like, how do we communicate with our participants? And so, instead of going the email route, we mostly communicate through Signal. Okay, and that's our final one. So our intensive plus model, this is our never before seen by the outside world thing. So our intensive plus model, instead of meeting once a month, every 6 months, we're thinking of front loading a lot of that toolkit. So the different tools that we teach in the program. So meeting once, maybe even twice a week for that first portion of the program. And then afterwards, we meet once a month to kind of do that traditional sharing updates, things like that. The reasons why we did that were many. So first, we've kind of exhausted our alumni pool, the folks who are coming out of that Explorer program. And so our prospective participants, they're not as familiar with VIA. So, you know, it's a little bit harder for them to jump in because they don't know the culture and our methodology. The second reason we're seeing is that our current participants have a little bit lower English proficiency. And so it's a little bit harder for them to go through the curriculum kind of largely on their own. So our traditional current program, it's very MOOC style. So it's like, okay, go on the platform, you know, go through the activities. If you have any questions, reach out to us. But it's been very challenging for them this round. And so we're thinking, okay, let's hold their hands a little bit more at the beginning, and then they'll be able to kind of fly on their own later on. The third is that it takes time to build a sense of community and trust. I think this is probably true for all kinds of programs, but especially when you're only meeting once a month, you know, it's probably takes about 3 meetings for them to be like, oh yeah, I remember you, you're nice. So we want them to kind of trust each other enough to give each other feedback from an earlier stage. So that's really important for us. And then this last one is from a staff perspective. We found that we really needed more time between our cohorts to implement feedback. So when you have 2 6-month cohorts back to back, there's so little time to think about recruitment and, you know, implementing changes. So moving forward, we're planning to just have 1 cohort per year starting in the spring and ending in the fall. And I have a couple more things, but I will stop there and I'll pass it back to Erin.
We've got plenty of time, so I'd like to hear your couple more things. And then I'm also wondering if you or Melissa can share with us just like what countries your participants come from, like, you know.
I have a slide for that.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay, so this is a little quick overview of our participants. So over the last 4 cohorts, we've had 54 participants, 17 teams, and 15 of them are actually alumni from our other programs, and 100% of them receive financial support to join our programs. And we're across 6 countries, so US, Japan, Myanmar, Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia. So similar to Marcela, we're seeing a lot of folks in Southeast Asia really interested in this type of work. And we also, I always want to highlight our coordinators. They're amazing. They're volunteers. I don't understand sometimes. But you know, this is one of the programs, actually, I think the only program in our portfolio that we honestly could not run without our program coordinators. They're really doing the heavy lifting of mentoring our participants. I always highlight they're across 5 different time zones. And so, you know, that work that I was talking about like facilitating calls and meeting with each other is hard, but they make it work. They volunteer 450 hours per cohort, probably more, they just don't tell me. And 100% of them are alumni. So again, making the most of your resources out there. And I think, oh, I made a cute video. If anyone wants to see it, I'll share it with you later. Okay, so that's it. That's actually it.
Thank you so much, Yuki. Thank you guys so much. I just put VIA's website also in the chat if anybody wants to click on it and check it out. Yeah. And Talise, unless you have anything else, we can open it up to some questions. I have a follow-up question, and if anybody else has questions, just you know, unmute yourself and jump right in. For you.
I do have a question for Yuki. Can I ask her?
Yeah.
I'm amazed that you have 9 coordinators that are volunteers. Like we do have a big struggle with having volunteers work with us because it's so hard to get them to commit. So I really wanted to hear more about your experience with like depending on such a big part of the program of volunteers. So how do you do it?
I Honestly, I don't know. Like, maybe Melissa can jump in and help me here with this question. But they're
Sure.
amazing.
Yeah, they've been fantastic. And I would say that, so of course, we started our first cohort of the Accelerator right before COVID hit. And the original plan was to actually have it be a hybrid program. So 3 of those coordinators that you saw were part of our fellowship cohort that was in Asia in the beginning of 2020. And the goal was for them to work with teams kind of locally or regionally and be able to actually go and kind of hold sprint sessions with them during the Accelerator. So when COVID happened and all of our fellows came back to the US, 3 of them continued on with the Accelerator program and then continued to cohort 2 and cohort 3. And basically they tell us that we can't get rid of them even if we wanted to. But I think that the reason that that relationship has really worked so well is because we had a pre-existing relationship with them, and we sort of set expectations for part of their fellowship role being to support this new Accelerator program. And they actually were involved in the very early stages of designing it as well. So I think that created a lot of buy-in for them, and they're very, emotionally invested in the program too. And it allows them to maintain that connection to Asia that they weren't able to kind of see through with their fellowship program. For the other folks, several of them have actually been coordinators on some of our Explorer type programs, the short-term programs. And so I think that what we've really found with our community is we really want to see people not just have a one-off VIA experience, but be a participant in an Explorer, come back as a coordinator or a fellow on one of those programs, and then kind of continue to build that relationship and have the opportunity to mentor and to lead other kind of upcoming members in our community. So I think we really have that approach of, your relationship with VIA is a lifetime relationship. And we set that tone kind of from day one that they're always welcome to come back and be involved and help out. And I think they really take that opportunity to mentor others very seriously.
No, amazing. Yeah, we also say the same thing. So once a YNY fellow, always a YNY fellow. So they can never get rid of us, even if they want. So even after the program ends, we keep having monthly meetings with the alumni, so we continue supporting them. And I think I was mentioning about like the ecosystem and all the other organizations who are working with social entrepreneurs, because honestly, it's a lot of people that need support, and it's just like a lot of things that we can do to support them. So we always try to nominate them for follow-up programs, so accelerators that get them in a different stage than we worked with them. So it's always nice to meet other people that are running similar organizations, because we can all support them, right?
Yeah,
I think to kind of just add a little bit onto that, something maybe that helps with maintaining or kind of continuing that engagement with the coordinators, I think Yuki's done really well, is to really talk to them about what their professional development goals are and figure out ways to kind of give them opportunities to build those goals within that volunteer experience. So we really focus on their development alongside the team's development.
And do you have a structured program for them? Like, do you use Crew with the volunteers? Because I'm asking this because we have been using Crew for the past 2 years, Thalys. I'm not sure if, I think we've run 2 cohorts in the platform, and now we want to onboard all the ones that joined us before on the platform as well. So we kind of started using these new features on the platform, the groups, and like start onboarding them. And it has been new. Many of them are coming, even though they're not currently on a structured program with us. But I really wanted to hear from you, like if you have this experience.
Yuki, do you want to?
Yeah.
No,
So
go ahead.
we don't actually have a structured training program. It's been very organic because they started off on this other program, and now with our new onboarded teams, it's kind of like, here's my wisdom, let me share it with you. But it does need to be more structured. So that's definitely a next step for us.
I guess since we're on that topic, I'll just say that there are 3 new accelerator programs on our network starting to use Crew, and they are starting to build a track or 2 tracks for their either coaches and mentors or program facilitators, some of them who might be volunteers. So I think it's a good idea if there is, if there are things you need from them, or if there's orientations, you can start streamlining them. It's definitely, I'm starting to see that. My kids are here.
We'll definitely start using that. And like the platform is so easy. The tough part is on us, on developing the content, but we'll get there soon, because we also have a very small team. So I resonate with a lot of what you were sharing about how hard it is. Yeah.
On the subject of how hard it is, let me see. I was wondering if you guys would be willing to share like 2 to 3, I don't know, just learnings from creating your accelerators from start, where I'm sure there was a big learning curve, to where you are now, where you have, you know, lots of applicants and lots of participants. For anyone who's thinking of starting or who's just starting, just in terms of like the hardest things and maybe the most rewarding things, and sort of if you have any tips and tricks.
Well, I can go. I think Yuki mentioned the most important thing, that is iteration. So we also run only one program per year, even though it's only 6 months. So we have the breathing period that we basically use to get ready for the next cohort. So we do ask the participants to answer many surveys. We have interviews with them one-on-one to really understand what worked and what didn't, so we can make any adaptations that are necessary. And we do make them because I think that's the only way for us to get better, is to actually listen to the people who go through our program and implement changes when we start again in the next cohort. So for this year, we have many changes coming up because of what the previous cohort told us. So I think it's a lot about not getting too fixed on the solution you created, because you might think that, you know, your the people you work with need to know something, but they actually want to know something else. So I think it's very important to hear what they have to say and implement those changes and try. We actually do our best to do that. We cannot always like implement everything, but one of the reasons we came to Crew was because of feedback from other platforms that we used before, for example. So I think it's a lot about listening and making changes. So being open to it and not so fixed on what you have as a solution. And this is actually the same thing that we tell to the entrepreneurs. So don't fixate on your solution. Think about the problem you have and what kind of problem do you want to solve. So I think it's just following the same advice. And then I think the second biggest learning we have is really understanding what's the profile of the people we want to work with. So really understanding and having a clear vision of who is the Y&Y fellow, so we can have a good program for this specific group of people. So for example, our program is not for organizations that are in idea stage. So our program is designed for someone that already implemented, already tried something prototype, but is still in an early stage. So that's essential, because if the person is too early, they won't enjoy and make the most out of the program. And if they are too advanced, the program will look silly, you know, they'll say, okay, I know all of this already. So I think it's very important to understand who is the audience you want to work with, so you can better design this program. Well, I'm going to let the other ladies speak, but I think these are the main things that come to my mind right now.
Awesome. And Marcela, if there are any organizations that are too early, you send them right over to us. Perfect. Yeah, so one thing I was thinking of was kind of going back to the idea of the coordinators, but being willing to ask for help. I think I was raised to believe like, oh, if you can do it, you should just do it yourself. But we found that there are a lot of program coordinators that are willing to do a lot of work, and also alumni, friends of VIA, like they're willing to come in and serve as mentors, be guest speakers in our programs. So, you know, just because you can do it as this internal staff, don't feel like you need to. The other thing I mentioned this before, but making time for reflection, not just for the participants in your program, but also as a staff, like having that time to think, okay, how can we really make this program stronger? And the third thing is a very logistical thing, but for the first time we offered grants, like a grant competition for our participants. And I think it really kind of jazzed up people who are applying for it, but it's also a really great recruitment tool to let people know if they join this program, then they can compete for a grant. So quick tip. And Melissa, I don't know if there's anything you want to share.
I was just thinking how wonderful it was to sequence like Unis for Youth or Unis and Youth and VIA together, because I feel like we are kind of sister organizations in some way where I think one of the challenges that we found initially was like, what is the niche? Where are we kind of going with this program? And it did take a few iterations to realize we were kind of focused on the very early stage teams who are trying to really like solidify their idea before they move on to more advanced business development. So that was a bit of a learning process for us. But now that we have that and really kind of, I think we feel comfortable there, we feel like, okay, this is making sense for us. Then we can kind of grow and kind of enrich in that part of our programming.
So awesome, guys. I'm glad we had this combo today. This has been wonderful. Thank y'all so much. Yeah, Talise.
Sorry to interrupt, Erin, but I think I saw a raised hand for Liamen Tracy. I might be pronouncing your name wrong. I'm so sorry, but feel free to unmute and ask your question.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask a question to Marcela. She stated that they had over 2,000 applicants, and at the end of the day, they get to choose just 30 of them. So I wanted to know that, do they like give preference to the other applicants that didn't make it to the final stage of the program? Maybe they have other programs or opportunities aside from the fairs you talked about. Is there any part of the fellowship that gives preference to these people who already have gone through all the processes that they had for the fellowship when they have another opportunity to share out to the public?
Yeah, our goal is honestly to be able to open more spots. So we're working hard to be able to run a second cohort to give an opportunity to all of these people who applied. But I know that in reality, we'll never be able to have a program for 2,700 people. So this is why we partner with many organizations to open the space for people to apply for other programs as well. And we do make an effort to onboard and to select people who have never had a chance to go through any program. So because we know how competitive these international opportunities are, many people already gone through others, right? So we try to make an effort into having the ones who haven't gone through any program and are going to the first time through an opportunity like this. But honestly, like this year, this immense number of people that reached out to us, it made us a little bit scared, honestly, because it was the first time we had this kind of like visibility. But at the same time, like it gives me a lot of inspiration to create more. So the team, we might have a small team, but we do have a lot of energy. So at this moment, we are creating other programs and trying to think of other strategies to support everyone and really trying to understand who are these young people that applied and what do they need. So, I was mentioning funding, and our program doesn't give funding, but we do help you prepare to go out and looking for funding yourself. But we did get, I think, 60% of applications are idea stage, and we do not support idea stage at this moment. But if we partner with someone else, we could. So, that's what we are trying to think and trying to make the most out of the resources that we have and the connections that we have to be able to help as many people as we can. So at this moment, we don't know anything for sure. The only thing that I know is that the team is working hard to make more opportunities.
Thank you. Erin, I don't know if you saw, we have a question from Jessica from Unreasonable Mexico. If you would like to unmute, Jessica, and share with the group.
Yes, thank you so much. Hi everyone. Nice to meet you all. I was asking about the team because I do work as well in a accelerator organization here in Mexico. So we do work with social entrepreneurs as well. More in not in an idea stage. It's more just like a early stage, but more like a more consolidated phase. But I was asking specifically about the team because I can relate to you. We are growing as a team. Right now, we are a small team as well. We're basically 3 people. But we discovered that we actually need to grow, hands on the team. So I was wondering what kind of profiles do you have in your team that you consider essential? Because I kind of discover as well that in order to make like very strong curricula that actually work for the entrepreneurs, we need to have like different types of profiles. And one that is in my mind right now is like the learning designer or instructional designer. But I don't know if in your cases, in your organizations, you consider this, or it's more like a business profile or marketing style, because I think that team is key in order to succeed. So I would just like or love to know your experience with that.
Well, for Yunus and Youth right now, we have 3 full-time people. I'm one of them, so we have one more person who's in charge of the program management. So basically, she's a social innovation specialist that helps. So she leads the entire fellowship program from selection to final pitch competition, and then we have a marketing manager as well. So these are the 2 full-time people. And then we have part-time people who help as well. And we have a lot of people that we hire on project-based, so as needed. And then we have a bunch of fellows who also volunteer to support us, that help with the community. But honestly, I could use more hands as well. I would love to have someone that would focus on only upgrading the curriculum. Because we do that in the moments that we have free. So we do have, access to the knowledge, but sitting down and putting it all together, if I had another person, we could do that at the same time, for example. So that could happen simultaneously. So I have lots of dreams, so I know how it is.
I can share your dreams.
Jessica, I'll just share really quickly. It sounds like your organization is more similar to Unis and Youth, but I'll share our experience. When we first started designing, we had 5 program directors and Lessa kind of working together to build the curriculum. And it was kind of like, I think we all come from like a learning design background. That's one thing we all share. But some of us have like specific interests in certain things. So, one program director is like really strong in social innovation. One person really knew a lot about assessment. So it was really coming just randomly from things that we happened to know, which is not like the best, I think, from a design perspective. And our participants are saying, oh, we're really interested in learning about this specific thing, often around business development, finances, marketing, things like that. And so sometimes we happen to have that expertise in-house. We might also have someone, on our board or just a connection who has that. And so we can make that connection. But sometimes we just don't have that expertise, right? And so we're like, oh, well, there's this program, like a MOOC that you can, take this online program, which again, I don't think is the most helpful, but it's something that we struggle with as well.
Thank you, guys. That was a great question. Joshua, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm just curious. Great presentation, Marcela and Yuki. 2 things really. Just curious. I know that for the African application, you get like the highest percentage from Nigeria. So I am wondering, like, is it possible? I work with an organization called Nigerian Youth SDGs Network. So we work a lot with young people in Nigeria. And we, in fact, I have two members of my team on this call because for over a year, we have been thinking of creating a fellowship program for young Nigerians, especially looking at social entrepreneurship itself, providing them with this opportunity. So I want to ask, like, most of the applications you get from Nigeria, are they quality? I know that two persons that are within my network have gotten the Unis and Youth Fellowship. So what would you say about the quality of applicants from Nigeria? And would Yunus and Youth be interested in working with us for a probably an African, a Nigerian-wide fellowship for young people? Thank you.
Amazing. Joshua, Nigerians are incredible. The only thing I can tell you, I think this is the nationality that is most creative and entrepreneurial. From what I see, is just we're always surprised, with how many Nigerians are creative and have this incredible and like different solutions, to many common problems to many countries in the world. So what I can say is that they are very high quality. And I think there's very specific regional characteristics, and that like a local program would be amazing, because I know that there are specific regional things from every culture. And because I think we work with so many Nigerians, I think I know more about Nigerians. I can already recognize accents, and people of the team make fun of me because, we have been working with Nigerians for so long. So we would love to talk to you and see how we could partner, because as I was mentioning, there's always space for more organizations, and especially I think in different levels. So I know that many people that are applying from Nigeria are creating agrotech solutions. So many related to food security, solar power. So we have many organizations dealing with these sorts of businesses coming from Nigeria, and also many idea stage. So I know that there's a big need for support in that region. And what I read over the applications, I see that many people need support with funding and machinery, because they are working on solutions that are so related to agriculture. Many of them are needing support with machinery. So we could definitely do like a stronger analysis on the candidates we received from Nigeria and talk to you about creating something together. It will be amazing. My mail is on the chat. You can email me.
Thank you so much, Marcela. Thank you, Joshua. Since we're just running into, we can keep talking after this, but just for everyone else that might need to hop off the call, this has been so amazing, like just the spirit of sharing and connecting, and it's just been perfect. And thank you guys for sharing your emails. If anybody wants to get in touch, I hope everybody stays connected. We'll have a copy of this recording on the Crew platform. And also we have a grant coming up. Talise, do you want to talk about that, or?
Oh, sure. Yes, great. So in the spirit of releasing secret new ideas, we are launching on Monday a new grant program for first year to Crew Accelerator programs. So we will be releasing information about that in our social media. If you would like to follow us, we can put our links here on the chat. And we're just excited. We are seeing accelerators have been our biggest growing group within Crew in the last year, and honestly one of the best fits that we have had in terms of use cases for the platform. So we are very excited to continue supporting more accelerator programs. We've realized there's a lot of accelerator programs that have small budgets, which was surprising to me. And we would like to partner with programs like Yunus and Youth and VIA to help share our tools and support. So stay tuned. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Marcela, Yuki, and Melissa, and Aaron, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you guys. If y'all want to pop off, if you need to pop off, you can. And yeah, hope to stay in touch, and we'll see everyone hopefully sooner than later. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.